It feels like most parents nowadays are entitled, lazy, or both.
The Trader Joe's employees who warmly giggled and watched as Rocky sat on the floor stacking the receipt paper while I packed and
It's really not a stranger's responsibility to watch over your child. Your village is not going to be the cashier down the street at Safeway. You know that saying, it takes a village to raise a child? Recently, TikTok poses the question, does that include retail workers in the village? Does that include a grocery store cashier? Is that the cashier that's also going to be a part of that village, raising that child? This TikTok by Brittany Polster in the now deleted video really sparked some controversy. Most people were calling Brittany out. There were some really supportive comments. But let's take a look at that video that has caused an uproar on what exactly it means for a village to raise a child.
To the Trader Joe's employees who warmly giggled and watched as Rocky sat on the floor stacking the receipt paper while I packed and paid for groceries today, thank you. A reminder to all new moms out there, take a breath. You're doing your best.
I asked you guys if it takes a village to raise a child. 60% of you said yes. 20% said no, 13% said maybe, 7% I don't know. I should have asked additionally if that includes a cashier or someone that is providing customer service towards you. However, I want to make this disclaimer, I am not a parent. So before we get into this, I just want to acknowledge that I am not a parent. I encourage you, especially if you are a parent, to comment on what you think about this whole situation. First things first, what we see in that TikTok video is very interesting. We see a baby behind the counter, arguably a toddler. I'm just gonna call her a baby. We see the baby behind the Trader Joe's register, which you're not really supposed to go behind there at all, an adult or child. And that baby is sat down on the floor, nasty floor where people stand all day. I'm sure it gets cleaned nightly because, you know, hello, it's Trader Joe's. And when I worked in retail, we did have to clean the floors every night or they got cleaned every night. I digress. So you see that baby on the floor, right? She is showing in that video that the baby wasn't always out of the cart. The baby was strategically taken out of the cart at some point. Who knows if the baby was taken out of the cart for the video? Either way, why didn't she just leave that baby in the cart? Even if the baby was crying. That's number one. Number two, that floor is gross. Number three, that baby is behind the cashier. I am coming from this perspective as a retail worker. I've worked in retail and customer service since I was 16. I did that for a total of 6 years and in different fields, one in retail, one in direct patient care. You really need thick skin to be a retail worker. What's interesting that the mom who is recording this is saying is that she wants to thank the Trader Joe's employee for basically being kind to her and being kind to the baby, because the baby was down by her feet taking out the receipt paper. A lot of people are calling out the entitlement of the mom because the fact that you had to take your baby out, put her on the floor, the baby was either placed by the cashier or the baby found her way towards the cashier receipt paper, right? And the fact that you're filming it versus packing away your groceries is insane to me. Y'all really underestimate how much that cashiers go through or people working the register. When I was working the register at Costco, it is a lot of work, especially if your cart is filled. From what I've heard is that people assume that the cashier, the person at the register, will scan your items and then pack them yourself. That's not always the case, and also, why not help them out? Especially if your cart is filled. I get it that she has a child. If that child was maybe on her or she was holding the child, that's a bit different. Brittany is sitting there filming this instead of taking that time to actually help with the groceries, get the whole grocery line moving. Because you know, it's Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is always packed. Every single time I go to Trader Joe's, it's so hard to find a parking spot. Just knowing that too, it's not even about all of the entitlement, it's about the common courtesy. Since she has deleted her original video, I did find some people supporting her in the comments of reaction videos on TikTok. Here's some of the nice things that people have said, and then we'll dive into people who are calling this lady out because just why? When it comes to Brittany, the mom, it's just very strategic for you to film the whole thing versus get going. Like, I'm not a parent, but I can't imagine wanting to stay in that store longer than I need to, especially when my baby is trying to grab onto things. And I think other people bring up some good points, which we'll talk about later.
Man, I'm telling you, it feels like most parents nowadays are entitled, lazy, or both. Get your child off that dirty floor and put him in a cart. Why do some people think that because, oh, I have a child, I can do whatever I want? You can't. You can't. You're in a public place, someone's working, let her do her job, and, be a parent. Like, you can't have a kid on the dirty floor touching things, which I'm sure you didn't put back, and then just act like it's cute. It's not cute. The only reason I'm sure she didn't, say anything is because, if she did, like, hey, take your child away or put him in a cart, you would have gotten angry, been a Karen, and told the manager. That's why. She giggled because she wanted to keep her job, not because she thought it was cute. I'm assuming. Like, honestly, if you can't be a parent, don't have kids.
From the cashier's perspective, I don't know your name. That was never said, so sorry, I'm just going to call you cashier. From her perspective, and if I was in her shoes, I would be torn between, hey ma'am, do you mind getting your baby? Versus still scanning the items, making sure that the line keeps going. Because when you're a cashier, everything is so overstimulating, especially if there's a lot of things to scan. You got to keep going. You also have to make sure that the guest or the customer is happy. Trader Joe's has excellent customer service. Every single time I go to Trader Joe's, I really feel like they're trying to be my friend and they want to go out and get some coffee next weekend and they want to start texting me and they want to know what kind of pizza toppings I like every single time I go there. And so it's very exceptional customer service. That's a known thing, especially in my experience, but I haven't been there more than 30 times. So if you're a regular Trader Joe's goer, let me know if you have a different customer service experience. However, if you put yourself in that cashier's shoes, she has so many things going on. She's scanning so many items. There's a line. She has this baby next to her. Yes, that baby is messing up her workstation because she's gonna have to stock that receipt paper later. However, she's torn between if she addresses something with the mom, Brittany Polster, she can either get backlash from her, which also makes the cashier's job harder in regards to backlash from leadership at Trader Joe's, potentially, and her workflow. If she has to stop what she's doing to say, hey ma'am, excuse me, like, do you mind getting your baby? Or, hey ma'am, excuse me, is your baby allowed to do that? Can you imagine the backlash that she would have gotten? Also, too, sometimes you just have to keep going. Like, in a way, when you are working retail, sometimes you just have to pick your poison, pick what you want to devote your energy to. Honestly, it is so brutal out there. I know some people look at a cashier job and think, what do they do all day? They just scan stuff. No, you have to deal with other types of transactions. People yelling at you. If someone's card gets declined, they get mad at you. People try to micromanage you bagging groceries. Some people want every single item in a single bag. Some people only want their bread outside of the cart and they don't tell you till last minute. People split up transactions and they don't tell you, then they get mad at you. You also have dynamics in the workplace. I could go on and on and on and on. However, we know this from customer service. We know there's always entitlement, and that's exactly what was portrayed here. Anyways, I guess I got my opinion out the way, but let's go ahead and talk about the nice comments that people have been saying towards Brittany in her video. I could not find any reactions to Brittany's video because she deleted her account, she deleted her video, but I did see some supportive comments for Brittany in other reactionary videos in TikTok. So let's just dive into some things that people are saying to support Brittany. Someone says, in LA, going to several Trader Joe's on a weekly basis, most of the workers are genuinely great and sociable people who understood part of their comp or company values are in interactions. They don't take minimum, which I think they mean minimum wage, which it's like, is this person saying, hey, Trader Joe's is a sociable company, it's fine. Oh, okay, so if you're a Trader Joe's employee and you're known for being sociable, it's okay for people to mess up your workstation and the parents not to do anything about it. Well, okay, Jasmine, how about you work at Trader Joe's and then tell us how that feels? Someone says, they pay more than minimum wage. Although I think the parent should have kept the kid in the cart, it's really not that deep. You sound so negative and miserable. It's very interesting. Honestly, it takes a village to raise a child. The worker was giggling, and I feel that a lot of people would be willing to help. Kindness goes far. Okay, those are honestly the positive comments that I saw. I do want to play the other videos, and there's one positive comment that I want to read and the creator's reaction to that video. With that said, a lot of these are assumptions. Like the nice comment says, the worker was giggling. I feel like a lot of people would be so willing to help. Kindness goes far. If a lot of people were willing to help, where was that willingness? It wasn't from the mom, Brittany, and the cashier was literally just trying to do what it takes for her to get by. Who's gonna clean that mess up? Is Brittany gonna clean that receipt paper? Is it the cashier? Is Brittany gonna wait for her baby to put it back? You know, there's dynamics to it versus I'm sure someone would be willing to help. It's so easy to say that because you're saying this behind a screen, you're not in the situation. It's so easy to say, hey, I know what I would have done in that situation. You really never know. I honestly think it is deep because that was an opportunity to be an example for your daughter and say, hey, you made this mess, or hey, you're not allowed to do this, or let's put this back together. Again, I'm not a parent, but let me know, as a parent of a baby that looks maybe 1, potentially 2, what would you do in that situation? Let's say you didn't strategically put your baby down. Let's say your baby was by you, that she ran around to the cashier station. How would you get out of that situation? And obviously, I think the mom should have apologized in person versus taking the time to record it. Maybe she did, but either way, it's really bold to upload that after the fact. Let's dive into what people are saying about the situation and about the entitlement, and I think a lot of people bring up some really good points.
I've been a Target cashier before. I've been to Trader Joe's several times, and I honestly don't get the hype. I don't like Trader Joe's. It's not that big, like, it's whatever. But I've seen Trader Joe's employees deal with insufferable people all day and deal with entitled people all day. And I can't imagine, like, for me, good on that employee, but for me, the fact that I'm getting paid minimum wage, been standing here most likely more than 4 hours, packing insufferable, entitled people's groceries, and then have a child come into my work environment, my workspace, and just mess everything up. And instead of the parent disciplining their child, which is literally what a parent is supposed to do, find it funny and start recording me and saying, ha ha ha, Rocky, look at Rocky. Oh my gosh, Rocky, you're so silly. That would piss me off so much. I would quit. Actually, I wouldn't, because finding a job nowadays is so difficult that, like, and I can't say anything because then I will get fired. I can't be like, hey man, can you grab your child out of my way? Imagine something would have fallen onto that child. Then whose fault? Then who would be giggling? I don't understand this new wave of parents that believe that every public space is meant for children, and it's not. Not every public space is meant for children. Discipline your children. Like, that's literally part of being a parent. And I believe that using the excuse of, oh, but being a mom is so hard, being a dad is so difficult, being a parent is so difficult, and I'm just so tired. That's a lame excuse, honestly. Discipline y'all's children.
Under Gabe's video was that comment that said, in LA, going to several Trader Joe's on a weekly basis, most of the workers are genuinely great and sociable people who understood part of their company values are in interactions. They don't make, I assume she means minimum wage. Gabe says, taking care or disciplining customers' children isn't part of their, quote, interactions or job responsibilities. It's the parent's responsibility. That is so true. Your village is not going to be the cashier down the street at Safeway. You expect Trader Joe's lady to tell your kid, hey, don't mess up my workstation, please. Like, what did you expect a lady to do? And also, in the mom's eyes, what is an acceptable response if the cashier lady at Trader Joe's were to address the whole receipt paper situation? I feel like either way, that's some sort of slippery slope. I'm not saying it's not wrong to say something, but we all know you do get some sort of backlash if you are a worker and the customer's always right, or the customer twists words. Under Gabe's video, there was also another comment that said they pay more than minimum wage. Although I think the parent should have kept the kid in the cart, it's really not that deep. You sound so negative and miserable. Gabe says, negative and miserable because I don't believe it's a cashier's responsibility to look after random people's children. Your entitlement is showing. See, that's it too. I feel like a lot of people have so many comments on, oh, the cashier was fine. She was just giggling. The cashier didn't have any type of reaction. The people making these comments are obviously in a different tax bracket, or they've never worked retail, in my opinion. Like, come on. You really think that most people would just laugh it off? It's really not a stranger's responsibility to watch over your child. Stranger danger. What happened to that? I don't understand. And this is coming from someone, I don't really have any kids around me. I have a niece who is at that age where it's like, you know, I don't need you to take me to the ice cream store anymore. Anyways, with that said, I know it basics when it comes to watching a child. It is not okay to allow your baby to be up and close near strangers. And yes, it's a worker that the baby was next to, but still, you don't want your child roaming free, especially filming it.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you what that Trader Joe's employee was too polite to tell you. This is a grocery store and not a daycare. She is a cashier and not your child's nanny. What would make you take a toddler out of a cart and put them onto the floor where they can just get into anything? Like moms like you who think that you having a child means everybody should give you some kind of special treatment is amazing to me. I did a video about a year ago about this woman who was mad at another mom for bringing toys for her kids to the park. She was like, if you can't bring enough toys for all of the kids to play with, don't bring them. Girl, who do you think that you are? No one owes it to you to do anything for your child. Not bring toys to a park, not watch them while you check out, not let them destroy their workstation. The fact that you think somebody does speaks to your level of entitlement. Then you have the nerve to end your video talking about new moms. Take a breath and remember, you're doing your best. The only person doing their best was that cashier. All she was supposed to be doing was ringing up your orange chicken and your soup dumplings, but you had her providing free childcare for you because you felt entitled to not only her labor as a cashier, but why not let her be a daycare provider too?
What do y'all think about this situation? People made some really good points. This may sound harsh to some people, but just because you have a baby, that does not mean that other people around you have to prioritize your needs and wants because you have a child. When it comes into specific context, yes. If we are in a dire emergency, women and children first. That's pretty much the policy, right? If there's a pregnant lady, I'm gonna voluntarily ask them if they want my seat on the bus. Okay. But if your child is acting out and your child is affecting someone doing their job, that doesn't take precedence over the person doing their job. Your child's happiness does not take precedence over someone doing their job. Your child wanting to play with something that's not theirs is not someone else's responsibility. I remember I was selling clothes at Uptown Cheapskate one time. If you don't know what Uptown Cheapskate is, it's similar to Plato's Closet or a consignment store where you bring in your clothes and shoes and they see if they want to buy it or not. Anyways, you know it takes a long time for them to look through your stuff. And I remember one time I was just trying to like browse and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit down. I don't need anything. I sit down and this little girl comes up to me and she says, can I sit down please? And part of me was like, dang, I just sat down. But I was like, you know what? She asked very nicely. I was like, because you asked so nicely, yes, it's okay. Then I thought about it too. I was like, you know what? I did have the right to say no, and that would have been a learning lesson. But also too, she was so sweet. I was like, why not? What was interesting though is that her mom came up to me and was like, did she just take your seat? I'm so sorry. I was like, no, she asked very nicely. It's totally fine. But I thought that was a great example of the parent stepping in, even if the parent wasn't aware. Because that mom, she was not even aware of what was going on. The mom came in afterwards. If we're making generalizations, I generally think that most of society gives parents some grace. I think that if they see a screaming child and they see a parent handling it, they're gonna mind their own business. If they see a child in distress, they're gonna say something or try to do something. However, I don't think that if your child is messing up somebody's job, that that's okay, and that it's okay for you to film that and praise that employee for letting it happen. Brittany had to think that that was a really great video to post. You edited it, you did a voiceover, and you spent that minute just to do that and then post it. Like, something in her brain said, hey, this is a great thing to post. And I get it, like sometimes if you post a picture or something, you don't notice something in the background, sure. But the fact that she saw everything, did a whole voiceover, then thought to post it, it's very interesting. I think this is a lesson that what you put out there will come back to you. The karma happened. If you don't believe in karma, I definitely believe in whatever energy you put into this world, it'll come back to you. She definitely let her kid do whatever for her kid's happiness and for her to film it so she can post it. And I'm pretty sure she thought it would go viral, and it did. With this type of entitlement, I feel like you have to be so out of touch with reality. Not everyone is meant to be a parent. I just really hope that that child is being taught respect and values, and that you really need to have respect for the people that serve you, and you also need to serve others. Even if it's someone just taking your ticket at the movie theater, you really need to give basic respect. That makes no sense to me. There's a lot of dynamics that go into it, but let's say that the cashier at Trader Joe's did say something to Brittany. If something bad happened, you know, service recovery, customer's always right, apparently. I think that also plays a lot into it. I honestly empathize with the Trader Joe's cashier. Where's her day off? Can she get 8 hours of PTO for free? What do y'all think of this situation? I think it's especially interesting that Brittany deleted her video and her account. We just have to be careful with protecting children, and as someone in society, of course, I am happy to be a part of a village. I love my neighbor's kid. He's always super nice. We say hi to him on walks. If something's going on, I see him in trouble, yeah, I'm gonna help, but it's a slippery slope when, you know, it comes into a teaching moment and the parent's right there. If the parent is right there, it's really that parent's job to call the shots. In my opinion, a village can be anyone who you deem as your circle. If you are super close with Dottie at your local Kroger and you guys make a point, you and your family and your kids make a point to say hi to her every single time, you guys take her out to eat sometimes, that's different versus someone scanning your items at the grocery store that you've never met before and that being part of your village. That is not part of your village. When we think of village and we think of that saying, that's more of like a community. Your neighbors, cousins, your goddaughter, your emergency contact, okay? We don't think of our village as being, oh yeah, my gynecologist. I don't know. But anyways, I feel like some etiquette should not have to be taught, but you know what? Never assume. Never assume. Hopefully respect and etiquette is being taught now. Hopefully this is a learning lesson for Brittany and not messing up anyone else's work. That's it for today's video, y'all. Let me know what you thought of this video. What would you do if you were that cashier? What would you do if you were that mom? I would try to not take my baby out of that cart, hopefully. I have so much respect for parents. I think it's hard. I think it's financially stressful, mentally stressful, emotionally stressful. There's a lot of dynamics involved. I feel like sometimes there's kind of a give and take with the opinions, but this lady was in the wrong, in my opinion. This lady, Brittany, she was in the wrong. But that's it for today's video, y'all. Like, share, subscribe. If you don't, I just appreciate you being here, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.